Today we are starting into word problems, and specifically in this word problems, we are working on consecutive integers. So I want you to write the next integer, and I'm going to write a note for us that integer again means on the number line. So on our integers, we just talked about a whole bunch of those. So if I said regular consecutive, if I said we're going to start at 2, I'm going to give it the letter x. How do we get from 2 to 3 again? We added how many? 1 to get from 2 to 3. So x plus 1. How do we get from 3 to 4? Add another 1. So what's 1 plus 1? 2. How do I get to the next consecutive? X plus 3. Right now, these are 4 consecutive integers. Now let's talk about even. Let me give you some even numbers. Ready? 4, 6, 8, 12, 16. They are all divisible by what? 2. So to make sure we have an even number, what are we going to do to this x to make sure that it's always even? Divide by 2 might get us a decimal, right? 0.5? Multiply by 2, that's right. Now, what did you say you had to add to get from 4 to 6 again? Plus 2. So we're going to add 2. What if I want another consecutive? What do we do? Plus how many? 4. Give me one more. 2x plus? Awesome. Now, odd. Now we can always guarantee ourselves an even. So say my even is 4. I'm looking at my number line. How do I get to 5 from 4? I add 1. So if I start off with an even and I add 1, I will always get to an odd. So the first one for odd is 2x plus 1. Guarantee yourself an even and add 1 and you're there. Now how did you get from 5 to 7? Add 2 more. So what's adding 2 more to this number? Okay, so 2x plus 3. Add 2 more. 2x plus 5. Good. So we're going to be using these as we go throughout if we need consecutive integers. Other things we need to remind ourselves. Sum of the interior angles of a triangle is how many degrees? 180. Good. Quadrilateral, think a rectangle or a square. 360. Do we remember that formula? Perfect. So n equals number of sides. We are going to subtract 2 and then multiply by 180. So if I said pentagon, how many sides does a pentagon have? 5. So we do 5 minus 3 times 180 and get up to, I believe, up to our 900. All right. Other things I want to remind ourselves about. If I say complementary angles versus supplementary angles. Complementary are 2 or more angles that add to how many degrees? 90. So let's write 2 plus add to 90. And supplementary is 2 plus that add to 180. How many of you feel like you have a tough time remembering which is which? Okay, I do too. So let me offer you a couple choices. This is my number 1 favorite. Alphabetical order. C comes before S, and numerically 90 comes before 180. Here's a second option. Complementary has 1 P in it, and supplementary has 2 P's, so it's double the amount. Or here's my favorite. One of my students made this up my first year teaching. He was a funny kid. He goes, Miss Williams, it's 90 degrees in the Comptons. I don't know what that means. I don't even think the Comptons are a place, but he liked to party in the Comptons, and it was 90 degrees in the Comptons. Okay, number 1. Do you notice how I marked like number 26? That will be like your homework problem number 26. So you can refer back to it there. 2 street names are consecutive even integers. So already I know this problem is about consecutive even integers. Underline that. With your pencil or pen, that's fine. If there's sum, I see sum. What is sum? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Addition. What is? Equals 86. Find each street name. So I know we're talking about consecutive even integers. I go back to the last and I see find each street name. Let's go ahead and highlight that. Find each street name. That's what we're trying to do. So that will get the variable. Now, consecutive even. What's the first consecutive even we're going to give? What's the next one? And we have 2 street names right there. So let's go ahead and mark that in here with our let statements. Let 2x equal first street name. I always am very specific about my let statements. And then 2x plus 2 equals second street name. And we said their sum is 86. So what's the sum? 2x's plus 2x's is how many x's? 4x's, and then just a plus 2 is left over is equal to 86. So we've got our first equation. Because we're just adding these together. So 2x's plus 2x's make 4x's plus 2. Good? All right, I'm going to solve that really quick for us. We have minus 2. We have 84, divide by 4, and we get to 21. Now this is x. It is not our street name. You notice that this is not even also. So now we're going to plug it back in. What is twice of 21? Okay, so 42 is the first street name. And add 2 more. 42 plus 2. 44 are the street names. Are the streets' names. And now I have a nice, I'm sorry? 42nd Street? Have you heard of 42nd Street? Oh. Okay, 42nd and 44th Street. Good. And we are done. Okay, here we go. Number 2. One angle of a triangle. Ooh, I see the word triangle. I think I'm going to draw myself a picture. I don't know what this triangle will be like, but I'm just going to draw myself a triangle. As I go through the problem, it says one angle is 64. The other 2 are consecutive odd integers. And then it says find the measure of the other 2 angles. So it says find the measure of both 2 angles. So I know that these get the variable, and I know this is about consecutive odd, so let's go back up. Consecutive odd, what's the first one we're going to give it? And the second? Okay, let me go ahead and label that picture. One angle is 64 degrees. You said one is 2x plus 1, and the other is 2x plus 3. Now let me write that into a let statement. Let 2x plus 1 equal first angle. I should put measure of first angle to get specific. And let 2x plus 3 equal measure of the second angle. And now we're ready to start. So we're talking about a triangle. How many degrees does a triangle equal again? So I have 3, 1 plus 2 plus 3 angles equals 180. So I have 64 degrees plus 2x plus 1 degrees plus 2x plus 3 degrees is equal to 180. So let me go ahead and combine like terms. I have 4x's plus 68 is equal to 180. 4x's equals 112. Divide by 4, and we're looking at 28. Now be careful again, x is not, that's not the measure of the angle, that's just x. So that is x. We're going to plug it back in to get the measure. So here we go, double of x plus 1. What's double of x? 56 plus 1? Okay, so 57 degrees. And give me the next consecutive. Add 2 more. And 59 degrees are the measures of the 2 angles. Great. How do we feel so far about this let statement process?
Pretty good.
Okay. It's really helpful later on when they get more complex. So that's why we're practicing now. Okay, flip. "25-inch piece of steel is cut into 3 pieces. Ooh. Let me go ahead and just draw a picture of that. I don't know where the 3 pieces are going to be, but I'm just going to show that this whole thing is 25 inches. That way I know what I'm dealing with. So that the second piece is twice as long as the first piece, and the third piece is 1 more inch than 5 times the length of the first piece. Find the lengths of the pieces. Find the lengths. So that's what we need to do. That gets the variable, the length. Now remember how I said that one rule, the last thing mentioned gets the variable? Let's find out which piece gets the variable. So if I'm reading here, the second piece is twice as long as the first piece. That was the last thing mentioned. Therefore, the first piece gets x. So let x equal length. I'm going to put inches next to it so I can remember that when I plug it back in, of piece number 1, or first piece. Now we base the second one on that. It says twice as long. How do I say twice as? 2x equal length inches second piece. Go into the third one. The third piece is 1 inch more. What does more mean? Add. Put a plus sign over it. Then 5 times the length. How do we say 5 times the length of the first piece? So x. 5x, and we said 1 more, plus 1 equals length third piece. Now all together they add to how much? 25. Okay, so how many x's do we have? 1x plus 2x plus 5x is how many x's? 8 x's, and then I have a leftover plus 1 is equal to 25. Okay, so we're going to solve that. We're going to subtract over 1. We're going to divide by 8. Now this is x, and x does happen to be the length of the first piece. Okay, so that is therefore 3 inches is the first one. What's double of 3? 6 inches. Okay, 5 times a 3? Plus 1? And 16 inches are the lengths of the pieces. So now that you all saw an example of the last thing being listed gets the variable, will we be able to piece that together tonight as we read? The words you're looking for is as long as the, or something about as something as the. That will be the key words to pick out. So